You know, like in our case, the nationalities and people of Ethiopia identified the principal contradiction in our country. They said, okay, before economic progress comes, Ethiopia, all the different nationalities in Ethiopia, each one of them have to feel that they are equal Ethiopians. And I think that fundamental, when I was talking about that foundation, that's the main cause of that foundation. So each and every Ethiopian now is owner of Ethiopia. So federalism is owned by the people.
Yeah. The kind of federalism that we see in Ethiopia, some say, is an experiment, and people are watching. If it is holding, then there is a lesson to be learned from that, kind of replicate it elsewhere. But if it fails, Ethiopia is going into a bottomless pit, into a deep crisis, and then that's going to be a different scenario. And people are watching.
Well, it is, first of all, that opinion, it should be there, because it all depends from which angle you're looking at it. But this has been said from the inception of federal structure in Ethiopia. Everybody, we all know, everybody was saying that Ethiopia is going to be like Somalia. Ethiopia is going to disintegrate. But I think the reality is not very long ago before that, what was happening in Ethiopia prior to this federal structure came in. Ethiopia was on the verge of basically disintegration. Prior to 1991, there were close to 20 different national liberation organizations, armed national liberation organizations. And then each one of them, in their first #1 agenda was secession from Ethiopia. So if you look at from where we start and where we are today, as I said, my basic, I wouldn't have said this if I hadn't been going around and see what people are talking about. When you look at it, Ethiopia is more united today than ever before in the history of Ethiopia. Because today, what we see is, in fact, the best witness for that is because of that acceptance of our diversity, and at the same time, we all united, and based on that equality, we formed this great unity. And what that did is that it has given us peace and stability in the country. Then, based on that peace and stability, we see a rapid economic growth in Ethiopia today. Where we were in 1991, where we are today, economically, it is basically undevelopmental, basically health, education, infrastructure, everything that is important for our society, we are showing that progress. In Ethiopia today, which has never been before, there is no violent conflict going on. There are conflicts, definitely, and there will always be conflicts, but that is being handled by the people themselves and through this structure to sit and resolve all this conflict. So,
what do you think will Ethiopians learn from this conference, from the papers, from the case studies that are going to be presented?
Ethiopians are practicing federalism. I'm talking about Ethiopians, the majority Ethiopians in these regions. They are seeing the benefits of federalism. They are practicing federalism because they respect others. Based on that respect, they work together. They form associations and looking at the betterment of their regions. At the same time, the democratic aspect of it. I've heard in many different regions, people were questioning their local governance to bring good governance. They believe that they are there. They are the appointed or the elected official is there to serve them. So this is a very good sign. It is a democratic right. Asserting a democratic right by the people is an amazing progress. So when you look at it, with what's going on, you'll be...
But you're not excluding the fact that there are local chiefs, primus inter pares, with so much power to wield, and cannot be questioned by the people. There have been cases of that sort.
Well, I cannot say there are people who abuse power. They could be, because as I said, first of all, if anybody believes that federalism brought everything perfect in Ethiopia, that's not a reality. It's not natural either. But within that foundation, people are learning about their democratic right, their constitutional right, how far they can go. So through process, many things will be changing. And what we see, what the people themselves are saying, is that they had this kind of person in power. By the vote, by their own voice, they can eliminate them from the office. That's the kind of statement that was being discussed there. So in this short period of our federalism and democracy life in Ethiopia, it's very encouraging what is going on, because the people are being empowered to stand for their right, and then their understanding of their constitutional right. So definitely this will be the ongoing education, the ongoing discussion will definitely enhance and consolidate what we have gained so far.
Who is coming to town? Are we having visible figures from across Africa? For example, heads of state?
Yes, we have invited all heads of states from Africa, and as you mentioned earlier, we have partners on this Forum of Federation. Ethiopia is a member from 9 different countries in the world. We expect very important people to come from these countries to participate. So in addition to that, there are many scholars, known writers, and known prize winners, individuals that will be having a sort of basically learn about Ethiopia's federalism,
Is it going to be just another international conference? What next?
This conference will definitely open a door to many people from various countries coming here, journalists coming here from different parts of the world. Will definitely see, unfortunately for us Ethiopians, we have been judged with one story. Our story has been only one story, and that story has been about our famine and civil war and whatnot. But today, I am absolutely sure and hope that people coming here and see the true Ethiopia, the reality of Ethiopia. We're not only one story people. We are people who have many stories, as many diverse group, as 80 different nationalities, different languages living together. We want to show that. And this is not to say we're just proud and show we are great people, but I think it is more of we want our country, Ethiopia, has been used as an instrument with the medias in different parts of the world. Today, the reality will be exposed and say, these Ethiopians had their problems, identified their problems, and came up with a solution that will help Ethiopians and heading towards development. So this will be a great opportunity for that. At the same time, this is not something that should die out after the conference.
That's what I'm saying. Are you going to is this going to kind of kickstart another round of discussions within the country?
Yes, and this is when we traveled all around the country, people have told us, they said, this is great, this is the kind of discussion. But what we've done when we came out and say, here is the question for you, what's federalism mean to you, what does it mean to you? At the same time, we give them 4 pillars. We came up with 4 pillars. First one is respecting equality, strength and unity, celebrating diversity, working for development. these four pillars have been very instrumental, and people really start looking at it and going deep into what happened to me, how did it happen, how did it affect my life. And from that basic experience, they were telling us the story. So, and most of them were saying, is this going to stop here? Those of us, we have many of our brothers and sisters and our neighbors who haven't made it here. This should go further down to Warada Kabali level. So I think it would be a very good experience that this has to continue and more educate and more, I mean, actually they're educating us, but having that discussion will definitely help.
Solomon, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. In Ethiopia, each one of them have to feel that they are equal Ethiopians. And I think that fundamental, when I was talking about that foundation, that's the main cause of that foundation. So each and every Ethiopian now is owner of Ethiopia. So federalism is owned by the people.
Yeah. The kind of federalism
that Ethiopia is going to be like Somalia. Ethiopia is going to disintegrate. But I think the reality is not very long ago before that, what was happening in Ethiopia prior to this federal structure came in. Ethiopia was on the verge of basically disintegration.
Then that's going to be a different scenario, and people are watching.
Well, it is, first of all, that opinion, it should be there because it all depends from which angle you're looking at it. But this has been said from the inception of federal structure in Ethiopia. Everybody, we all know, everybody was saying.
That we see in Ethiopia, some say, is an experiment, and people are watching. If it is holding, then there is a lesson to be learned from that, kind of replicate it elsewhere. But if it fails, Ethiopia is going into a bottomless pit, into a deep crisis. And
you know, like in our case, the nationalities and people of Ethiopia identified the principal contradiction in our country. They said, okay, before economic progress comes, Ethiopia, all the different nationalities